Single Simulcast is about a lot of things. This podcast may make you laugh, cry, or pound your fists into your desk. If you hear something you like or something you don't, leave a voicemail at 916-572-9016 or email us at singlesimulcast@gmail.com.
1. Single Simulcast.
Single Simulcast episode 294. Shantae's here, and I am just pleased as punch to introduce our guest for you for this week. Usually, I have to like track my mind to say this differently than it usually is, because usually it's this, and it's just been that way forever. And I don't know how it got started that way, but it just is. And we are a ladies first type foundation, so I had to program my mind to say it differently. But today we are pleased as punch to be joined by Karen and Rod from the Black Guy Who Tips podcast. It's hard saying that. It is hard to say Karen and Rod. Like, I had to write it down on the show notes. I had to practice it in my head a couple times, and it's still like doing verbal double dutch, because you're so used to saying this is Rod and Karen, because that's the way that y'all say it. Everybody else just like, yeah, let's go with it. But how did that get started? Like tell everybody how the show got started and how that signature opening really got started, where y'all are just lockstep, and this is Rod, and it's just beautiful to hear y'all say it. How'd y'all get together? How'd this all get started?
The Rod and Karen intro, or just the show?
The show itself and the Rod. I figured the Rod and Karen intro was just organic, and then it's just been that way for how many episodes do y'all have now?
I believe today 1678.
God damn it, I'm on 294.
Well, it's not a competition for sure.
No, it's not.
We still trying to catch up to Keith and the girl. So
I in 2000 somewhere.
Yeah, man, you can. We started the show basically. I had a blog. It was called The Black Guy Who Tips. And that blog was started off with me emailing my friends my Rod's random thoughts, and it'd just be like 10 random things I've been thinking about throughout the week or something, and they were pretty funny, and they were like, "You should blog this," and I was like, "All right, I'm gonna blog it, but I don't know what to call it." So I called it The Black Guy Who Tips, because I worked in the waiter industry, and I was like sick of people saying black people don't tip, and I was like, well, if stop saying that, because at least I do. So stop saying that racist shit. And, serve us better. You'll make sure you get good tips. And so then after that, I listened to podcasts. I became a fan of some. And I was like, shout out to Keith and the girl. It was the first podcast I really, truly was a fan of. I think the other ones, just like most people that start off listening to podcasts, I listen to all the, This American Life. That just a bunch of approved podcasts. Adam Carolla Show, all the ones iTunes puts on the front page. And then I found Keith and the girl somehow, and I was like, let me check them out. And I just instantly was really feeling their vibe. And also they were just two people who had day jobs and odd jobs and everything. And they also happened to do this podcast. And it was so long ago, I had the iPod that like a brick with the spinning wheel.
Yes.
So I started listening to them, and I was like, I heard an episode where someone was talking bad about them. Someone wrote in, and they were like, well, you guys, what you do isn't even really work. So what do you guys know about a job? I mean, you just sit down and record, and that's all you do. And then they were like, well, if it's so easy, why don't you do it? And, it was kind of in a sarcastic way, but it was some real shit that they said. And I was like, yeah, why not try it? And so me and Karen tried it. At the time, there weren't very many black podcasts. Mm-hmm. So we tried it, and people started listening, and that's basically the story to why. And then the reason it's named The Black Guy Who Tips is because Karen at the time was like, well, if you have to replace me, you can do that. You don't have to have me on. with you, and it does leave you a place to get rid of me if you don't want me to do it. I'm like, why would I not want to do it? But it was kind of the only way to get her to do the show is to be like, well, yeah, just come do the show and we'll call it Blackout Tips. It's like, you don't even have to worry about people bothering you about it. And then, of course, obviously no one can imagine the show without Karen at this point.
Pretty much. This is Rod and Jeremy. Like what?
Right. Yeah, it wouldn't be the same.
They don't got the same ring.
I know that podcasting has evolved and has grown, but Keith and the Girl, I have heard that podcast from so many different people who it's just like, it feels like that was the impetus for a lot of folks. It wasn't just you. I think Jess Wood from Get Wood started there or was initially a fan of their show, and it's just like, wow. And it I just feel like, how the hell did y'all all find that? Because I was listening to stuff from EGM, like the video game podcast, and I was like, yeah. So I started off like, I'm gonna do video games, and turned out that my podcast turned into, this is episode 5, and I'm still on the same game. I'm sorry, y'all. That same boss keeps on whooping my black ass, and if anybody wants to call in and help me out, so that was a daily grind. After that, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna change it up and start talking about something else. But I'm going to have to check out Keith and the Girl because it is literally so many people I know have spoken highly of it, or highly of them and of it, that I feel like at this juncture, like if you've seen the movie Ready Player One, at this juncture, checking out Keith and the Girl to me will probably be akin to seeing the inner workings of damn, I forgot his name. The dude with the hair that had the issue and built the system that, fuck, that movie came out 3 weeks ago. How'd I forget everything? And I read the book. Anyhow, I'm glad to have you.
Oh, are you talking about Ready Player One?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Got it.
Like, yeah, okay. Like, no, nothing else. Like, yeah, I saw it too. And it's just like, I know who you're talking about. I just can't remember what his name was. It was something. Mm-hmm. It was a good.
Wasn't it Ogden? No, Ogden Morrow was his friend, right?
And you remember that because I know why you remember that. I know.
Yeah.
But the maker of Gregarious Games, I can't remember what his name was. I'm sorry. Scar is going to get on me because that's his book. Usually we start off by talking about like some funny stuff, like funny.
James Halliday. That's it. I knew it was an H.
Yeah. So Halliday and Keith and the Girl, Chimda, right?
Yeah, Himda. Yeah.
Chimda. They're in the same boat for me as far as podcasting and that movie. So I'm gonna have to check them out just to see, for myself.
Yeah, they've been around a long time. They were like really old school before the technology you have now, when you literally, it wasn't easy, when you literally had to go and find an RSS feed and put it in your iPod, and they've been around close to, I think, 15 years. They've been around a very long time.
Whoa. Okay. I'm going to go to episode 1. If it's still around, I think that was sometimes I like to go back and listen to people's first episode. Like if they've been around for like 10 years or so, I just like to hear them when they're all by themselves in the dark room, like test.
Oh yeah, I know our sounds real. Like we were tired. It took us hours and hours to even get it recorded. We bought a new computer. We actually bought a new computer twice that day, just to make it happen. We had to get all the programs. I mean, I guess that was the day, boy, because it was like, if we can make this one podcast happen, this one episode, then there's no difficulty that we won't be able to make it through with these other episodes.
As long as we can do this, we can do anything.
That's how you felt.
I feel it. For some reason, Kanye's Through the Fire went through my head just then, but I feel it. Usually we talk of a while, and then we go into some funny stories, and then we talk serious stuff. Today I got like maybe 2 funny stories because niggas can't do shit no more. And I while I want to be like, it's almost funny how poorly we're being treated. It's like at some point you wait for somebody to say, psych, we got y'all niggas. There's a camera right there. You see that drum right there? That's a camera. But no, like they're literally just, it's getting worse and worse. And it's not so much that it's not just that it's getting worse and worse, but also it feels like we're getting pushed further and further back in time as far as what we can do and can't do. If you really think about it, it wasn't that long ago that we weren't allowed to drink at water fountains or eat at certain restaurants or even come into the doors of certain places. And it feels like we're getting closer and closer to that point again. And it's I don't know how much of it I want to blame on Trump, because I can say easily that this all was here before Trump. I just feel like the freedom to do it. Like it's like when you're a kid in school and you hear a kid say a bad word and they don't get in trouble. The first couple of times you're like, but by that third time you're like, well, fuck it. If he's saying fuck it, then why can't I say fuck it? I mean, fuck it. So I feel like enough white folks have seen that there's no repercussions to them for doing these certain things.
Right.
That now they feel like they can go ahead and do it without fear of repercussion or without any fallback. There was an issue or issue episode. There was an article. That's the one. There was an article that came out a couple days ago. A person of color, I think she was Indian, wrote an article about the weaponizing of white women's tears. And before she wrote it, Lovey wrote basically the same thing about how white women utilize their tears in order to bully and silence black women primarily in job situations and in open situations. And like the next day, white women came out and was like, this whole thing is racist. How dare you say the white women's tears are being used against people of color? I'm going to cry about this right now. The next couple days after that, a white woman saw some black folks cooking in Lake Merritt, cooking in a park in Oakland, and called the police on them because she literally told them that, well, you're cooking in the wrong area, which, side note, they were, but that's not the point here.
They were? Okay,
they were in the wrong spot. No, they were in the wrong spot with the charcoal pit. She was right.
Wow.
But the fact that she went about doing it was just like, why are you doing this? And then when the cops got there, she used her tears. Saying that they were, after she made the call, they were picking on her and that they were cursing her out and they were demeaning her and all that kind of stuff. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that if we asked black women, if we asked them, how often do you get silenced by white women at your jobs? How often do you get silenced by white women just in a day-to-day situation? Karen, when's the last, how often have you had this situation where there's a white woman at your job who they're just like, you know what, don't even fuck with her because she'll go tell in a millisecond?
Yeah, I have coworkers like that, and most of the white women at my job, we keep it professional. We don't talk about, if it ain't work related, we just don't talk. And like I treat them similar. I can't explain. Like whenever they come and want to talk, it's so business. When I see them, I'm like, can I help you? That's exactly like, can I help you? Like, let's cut the bullshit. Can I help you? No, I don't want to hear nothing about your family, your dog who died. I don't give a fuck about your weekend. Can I help you? So you go about your business and leave me alone. I just want a peaceful day.
It's Shantae. I know that in where you're at, yeah. And you know what? I got to get that mindset out of my head that just because you're in Oklahoma that this happens all the time. But this happens all the time, right?
Well, I don't know. Maybe it would if I actually worked. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I've been a stay-at-home mom since my kids were born. So
I don't fuck with white women like that, so I don't have to speak to them in that kind of way, or deal with them in that kind of way. I go to the grocery store, I see white women, I walk right by them. I'm not in an employable environment as far as they're concerned. I'm the boss here. I run shit.
I know that for myself, and I'm not. This is the thing that I was looking at while I was reading all these stories. Is like, damn, this happens to me, But it's like I don't want to center myself because this isn't my story. And I'm sure, Rod, before you started podcasting full time, there were white women, and well, I don't know about white men, but white women who would do the same thing to you. Like if you didn't do what they wanted you to do, they'd send the email, and then all of a sudden they'd send a meeting request with your boss, and then they just want to sit down. As soon as they sit down, the tears just start.
Yeah, I had a really bad coworker when I first started at my very first job out of college, and she was a psychopath or a sociopath, and she would do stuff like whatever it took to get her way. And sometimes when she was dead to rights, caught doing like super mean, petty stuff to people, her last resource would be to cry. Like she cried in meetings, she cried talking to somebody about you behind your back and shit. And then that would make people be like, well, she must be right. So she's crying, and as a man, obviously there's that extra layer of, I don't want to make a woman cry with, it's kind of the be all end all to certain like, well, I guess we can't have this conversation because I'm not trying to make you cry and but some people use that shit for manipulation rather than, actually I'm just emotionally overwhelmed. And she was one of those people. She would, it would be right when you were like, but you're the one who didn't do the report and that's why it didn't get done. And then she's like, you're being mean. I'm like, you just spent a whole 30 minutes yelling at everyone in this room and now you're crying. And that was, she was just a horrible person. I couldn't wait to get away from her.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. And for me, when you was talking, or Shani, you made me think about it. I did have an situation just like that, but my white manager, who was actually on my side, she was a woman too, but it was this woman, and she kept like making errors and making mistakes and screwing stuff up, and it made my job just really, really hard. So when it would happen, I would try to go to her, and she, get attitude with you, like it's your problem. So I took it to my manager. And so I guess she got tired of me taking it to the manager. That's what she did. She did exactly what you said. She sent an email out, tag me, my manager, have a meeting. So we sit in there talking and stuff like that. And, I didn't really say that much. I just let her and my manager go back and forth. But yeah, it's just when it comes to the power dynamic, white women have a lot of power. And they will use that power against you. And that's why when it comes to ally and allyship, I don't believe in that. Be a better person. You don't have to be my best friend. We don't have to hang out. But just treat me like, just respect me and respect my space and leave me alone. Like, that's all most niggas ask, is that you actually just let them live their lives.
And it's to the point now where when I see a white woman crying, like, if I see a white woman crying, I actually pause for a second and I wonder, are you doing this to manipulate? Or are you doing this because, you're actually going through something? And it's sad that it's to that point where now I have to wonder if all white women know that they can weaponize their tears. But the trust that's there, like, if I see a person of color, if I see a person of color crying, I'm gonna be like, "Yo, is everything okay? What can I do to help out? Do you want to talk? Is it all good?" If I see a white woman crying, I'm like that GIF or the GIF of the little girl sitting in the car seat who's just looking around like, "Yo, I don't even want to go near." It's like there was this episode of Scrubs, I think, where was that Scrubs? No, that was Blackish, where there was a little white baby on the elevator. And they were looking at the little white baby on the elevator like, I'm not touching that thing. Just let it keep going up and down until somebody finds it.
Right.
I'm not going to get near a white woman's tears because I'm black. And they'll be like, why are you crying? Is it because of him? And she'll be like, no, but since you asked, let me tell you what Rashani said, I think a couple days ago. My boss, when I worked at the place that I worked at before I work now, was like that. And it's horrible when there's somebody who's your manager who will actively use their tears whenever you're telling them this is what you did that is causing this situation. This is what's going on. Like, they'll say, okay, first of all, talk over you. Just talk. Just keep talking. And then finally, when they get tired of talking and you start talking and you start making points that are pointing out their issues, I didn't know I was doing that. Why are you telling me? Why? What can we do to make this better? I didn't know. And it's like, why are you crying? I didn't cry when you were telling me about how I'm a bully and how I'm antagonistic and how I'm scary and how I'm big. Like, when you said all these catchphrases that just mean black, there was no way for me to clap back at you. There was no way for me to say anything. And as soon as I get a chance, you immediately start crying, and you're my manager, and your manager is in there watching you break down in tears and looking at me like I'm just growing horns. So it's just, at this point in time, I don't think anybody believes white tears. I think that we just cope with them. Like, it's like knowing in a video game, okay, somebody's going to use the rocket launcher. I'm going to get hit, but it's just a part of the game at this point in time. It's all in the game. I can get mad that somebody's, back in the day, they call it the noob tube. I could get mad that somebody's noob tubing, but it's all in the game at this juncture. Like, they know that it works. Ain't nothing I could do against it. What I do like is that after the white woman cried and all that kind of stuff, black folks got together yesterday in that same park, in that same area, and held a big-ass cookout. And, like, masses of folks from Oakland came up there with music and with their grills and threw a huge party. They were I mean, it was the party that everybody wants. It's the party that you have at the end of movies like Soul Food, where niggas is doing the electric slide, the Before I Let Go. Like, it was that kind of a party, and it was glorious. And that's the kind of response that we need to have against white tears, because white tears plus the fact that they can call 911 now is turning it into a really dangerous situation.
Yeah, also white tears are only, like, they're delicious, and as they are dangerous, and they also I love causing them, and when the simplest thing that can cause them is black joy. You know, like I love that as a form of protest and a form of retaliation, us getting together, having a good time. Like, not that should be the only form, but so many of these protests and stuff take a toll on people in such harsh ways. And, you know, the police come out and you're worried about them doing something to somebody or you. And it's kind of cool when, you know, you have a moment like this.
Yeah. I wish I could have been there. Like, there's too many situations now where we're just expected to take it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they call 911 on us, the cops come, we're just expected to take it. Like, the fact that people are speaking up about it and getting it on video and whatnot, folks are like, why are you so mad about this? We're just doing what we've been doing for years. Why are y'all coming up against this now? There was we all know at this point about the black Yale graduate who was reported to the police by a white person because they were napping in the common room of their dorm. Like, where else are we supposed to sleep at? What else are we supposed to do? Like, what exactly do you want from us at this juncture? The black student posted 2 videos of the encounter to Facebook where they've drawn thousands of comments and been widely viewed. And she said, I deserve to be here because I paid tuition like everyone else. I'm not going to justify my existence here because the officers asked to see her ID. And this is akin to where the folks got the cops called on them at the Airbnb out here in California because they didn't wave goodbye to the white woman who was a neighbor as they were leaving the premises.
Mm-hmm.
It's just at this juncture, there's a list that is being built of things that black folks can't do. And that's the scary thing to me, is that white folks are not taking this nearly as seriously as they should be.
Yeah, I don't think they will either. Like, I don't know. I'm kind of giving up on waiting on them motherfuckers to have a moment of like how serious this shit is, because it kind of hurt me to see so many black people that were like saying the obvious. You know what I mean? Like, hey, this is dangerous. Don't do it. But I guess in my cynical mind, I'm like, they do it because they do think and do know that the police will over-police us, possibly kill us.
Right.
Like, and maybe we just don't want to look at our fellow citizens and think they want the worst for us or that they're that evil. But this is a country that had slavery. So it's not hard for me to believe that white people still have that shit inside of them, that they would call the police on somebody sleeping or somebody having a cookout or somebody sitting at Starbucks with the total expectation that it could escalate to a point where that person is dead, and they would just go, well, yeah, they're dead because it's their fault. It's not my fault for calling the police. And I like, this is just what the deal is.
Shantae?
Oh yeah, fuck white people. I don't trust the motherfuckers. No, I mean I definitely have got to a point where it's just like, it's more likely, like, even the nicest, most polite, most genteel white person is probably racist. Now, does that mean that they will act on it in a certain kind of, will they act on it in all these different kinds of ways? No. But they might call the police on somebody on some bullshit, and then cry about the shit, and say, well, I didn't know that was supposed to happen, and all this different kind of stuff. And it's just like, Ross said, this country had slavery. This world has been conditioned to look at black people and of course, non-white people as a problem with suspicion. So no, I don't trust white people. More than likely, you are racist.
There was a article that one of the homegirls, I think it was Fallon Matthews, sent over to me about how back in the day, like not that far back in the days either, white people, like literally less than 200 years ago, scientists said that any black person who was a slave who escaped, that was a sign of mental illness. They said that they couldn't believe that these black people who were treated so well by their owners were escaping, and so they must have some sort of mental illness that just makes them run.
So you admit that slavery was a choice. Okay, got it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. They were like, let me see. In the master's view, slaves have been put on this earth to serve, and since they provided them with all this stuff, the fact that they ran away, they had to have been just out of their mind. Long story short.
In a country that revolted because taxes were too high.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, had the tea party, we dumping tea into the ocean. That them kind of people.
That's the only time white folks ever been spilling the tea.
Right? I mean, it's like everything works out in white favor. And when it's not, it's like, oh, yeah, let's make up a reason why they're doing this. Why do they want to leave master? Oh, they must be here. They must be doing this. And so it just trickled down. Like they're able to literally whitewash any situation to make it advantage white. And at first people, in the North were like, yo, that's fucked up. And now people in the North are like, yeah, fuck them niggas. Like Shantae said, I'm quite certain that 95% of the people I work with would call the cops on me in a millisecond. And then just cry when asked why they did it. I'm also certain that at least 60% of the white people who are following me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever else, if I died, if the cops pulled me over and just shot me up, they'd be like, well, let's hear the whole story. Which is why I have it in my will. I have it. My wife and I have had this talk that if I die by police brutality, she won't let them forget who I was.
Mm.
That's a crazy thing it's not crazy. It's sad that it's something that needs to be done because your name will get run through the mud. You will be looked at as some sort of an issue. They will find whatever they need to find. He went to play basketball every week. He could have been out there serving the homeless. Like, wait, what? Like, he was serving the homeless every week. He could have been out there. White people are mad. And it's just like, wait, that's not how this works. But apparently, it's how it's going to work. There was two customers who went to Fuego in Tacoma, Washington. Been there, never going back. Who, while shopping, they went into a changing room to try on the clothes. And while they were in the changing room, they were then told by the manager the procedures for theft. The manager was not on the floor first when they first arrived at the store. And the customer said that they were going to purchase one of the dresses until they heard her speaking directly in front of their dressing room about the theft procedures. She then got dressed and went to tell her I wanted to buy one of the dresses and confronted her about her implicit conversation right outside of the curtain. And then the manager went ahead and kicked them out the store and called the cops.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's always the way that this ends. And somebody posted this up, and I think it's absolutely wonderful. This summer, I'm going to try and call the cops on every white person that I see doing something.
Are you
I actually have been calling the cops before I go places just to let them know to be expecting some calls. I was like, 911? Yeah, I'm about to head up to the YMCA. So if y'all get a few calls about a black man playing basketball, it's me, and I'm safe.
Shantae, said you been doing it?
Hell no. I think one of the things, like, I know people are talking about that, and it's funny. Like, we about to start calling police on white people. We calling them every day. And at the same time, it's kind of just like, are y'all for real serious? Because I feel like it needs to be like, I'm gonna call the police on a burner phone or something that they don't know it's me, so they don't find me, because the police, are corrupt and they're a problem. And if I call the police on a white person and they find out that this white person really wasn't doing shit, they're gonna come and get me for a false report, and then I'm gonna be in jail. And it's just, it's funny. And on the surface, but on, like, for real, it sounds dangerous as fuck, I guess. And also another thing about the whole white people calling the police is the it feels like we need to segue into segue from white people calling the police and acknowledging that they do it because they want to police abolishment. That the police, that the system, the police is a problem. Like, they can do this because the police is a problem, because the police is willing, to act on their shit. It's like stop calling police. But it's just like, well, the police are doing their bidding, and the police are a problem.
And the police are coming out in a way that they would never come out for us. They wouldn't. Like, if we called and said there's a white person cooking in barbecue, hello? Okay, I'm gonna call back. That I lost connection with him. 911. Yeah, hey. there's a white person. Hello? Hello? I didn't even get to tell you what I just said. Wait. Okay, I'm gonna try one more time. Hi, 911. Don't hang up. This is an emergency. Please don't hang up. Huh, thank God. There's a white person in the Waffle House who's arguing about utensils. Hello?
You have to start with, there's a black-haired white person here that is a brunette, and I need you guys to come down and get him.
The rule used to be quite simple. If you call 911 and you say that you're in a certain area, they wouldn't come out. And I never doubted it. Now it's if you call 911 and you're in that certain area, they're going to send somebody out to try and kill you. So now we're really not calling. Meanwhile, those places are getting gentrified by white folks who are making these calls, and all of a sudden cops are coming out, and we're like, why didn't you come out when we called? And they were like, well, back then, it wasn't an opioid crisis, it was crack babies. Back then, it wasn't white women calling, it was these anchor moms or whatever they call them. And back then, we just didn't trust y'all, but now we got to protect these poor white people. There was a black dude out here who got out of his car at 7-Eleven and left the engine running while he ran in. First of all, I would never leave my car idling in outside of a 7-Eleven. I wouldn't leave my car idling unless one of my kids is in it. And I don't do that, white people. Want y'all calling CPS on my ass, but he went in and purchased his stuff, and when he came back out, he got tackled by a cop. The cop said that he was asking him about multiple law violations, and that the gentleman refused to talk with him. Which, why the fuck do I want to talk to you about that when you trying to tackle me for having my car running? How are those two things in any way, shape, or form connected? How do you even know I have multiple law violations? How'd you get here? Like, what exactly was the plan here? But the cop tackled him, took him down and arrested him for having an idling car. And did you know it was against the law? I didn't. I did not know that you're not. But the thing is, you're not allowed to leave your car idling on the freeway. Yeah, nigga, you think? Arrest us all during traffic, though, during rush hour, because what can we do? But apparently he was booked into jail on suspicion of resisting arrest and leaving the ignition key in an unattended vehicle. We can't even leave our car running.
I didn't even know that was illegal.
Yeah.
Most people don't. There's a lot of laws and shit on the rule book that nobody abides by, but for some reason they magically pull the laws up when it comes to us. Some shit that nobody even applies. They don't apply to most people, or most people don't know they're on the books.
Exactly. Like, for example, one of the things that wasn't a law but is today, apparently in Kansas now it's illegal for police to have sex during traffic stops.
Mm-hmm.
Why wasn't that a law before? Like, why is that like, hey, we probably want to do something about this.
So leaving your car running, there's a law for that. Having sex with people during traffic stop, no law. Interesting.
And it was one of 33 states where consensual sex between police and people in their custody wasn't a crime. Here's the thing. Most times it's not consensual. Most times, I would think it is them using their position of power to, if you want to get free, you better do this.
Yeah, you got me in cuffs. There's no such thing.
I can't consent.
Yeah, nobody's ever been like, oh yeah, I was just speeding because I was really hoping that you pulled me over and I could get your number. Like, get the fuck out of here.
And it spun off the case of Lamont Murray, Kansas City, Kansas man released last year after spending 23 years in prison for a double murder he didn't commit. The investigation in that case led to multiple affidavits alleging that the detective who made the arrest had a long history of coercing sex from women in Kansas City's black community by threatening to arrest them or their relatives if they didn't comply.
Sounds about white.
Mm-hmm. Kansas law previously said, quote, there shouldn't be sexual relations between police and persons in jail, but it didn't say anything about if they had been stopped on the streets or were in their custody. This helps the person who was detained in their neighborhood or stopped for a ticket, that sort of thing. And the fact that this was found after a arrest was turned over, I feel like if a black man hadn't been freed from prison because a crooked cop had fucked him up, this still wouldn't be a law. They were just like, you know what, going forward, we're just going to make it where y'all can't have sex with people that you have in custody. You can't coerce them anymore. That way we can arrest these black folks without any issue. Y'all keep fucking up the situation, Randall. That sort of thing. By the way, Randall isn't their real name because I'm not going to have the cops looking at me like that. I ain't going down for none of it. Now, real quick, not in any way connected, but has to be talked about because one of the people who I know lost their whole entire fucking mind over this shit. There's this school in New Jersey that had a cheerleading squad, and the young lady didn't make the team, and so her mom went and complained that her daughter didn't make the team. And so the school decided that going forward, everybody can make the team.
That's going to be a terrible cheering squad.
All my hard work has been thrown out the window, see cheerleader Stephanie Kruger about the ruling during a Board of Education meeting. I tried my hardest. Now everything is going away because of one child who didn't make the team and their parent complained. So instead of having tryouts and making cuts, the cheer coaches at Hanover Park High School have decided to let everyone participate. The school's athletic director said they changed the policy as a direct result of the mom's complaint. They didn't say any names. They didn't say the
Of course not.
But one person in my in my Facebook page took this time out to blame the liberals.
You still got Facebook friends that do that?
Yeah. Yes.
Wow. They make those in 2018.
And meant it. Wholeheartedly meant it. And blamed the liberals. And then rushed it on down, rolled that on down the hill to saying this is exactly why Trump got elected. And then carried it back up the hill to let it roll back down the hill to say this is why people can't discipline their children anymore. And then walked it back up the hill and let it roll back down. And this is why we have... What else did he say? It was a lot of stuff.
Was it a white girl?
Nope.
It was a black man.
It was a black man.
No, I'm sorry. Not the comment. I'm talking about the cheerleading squad.
Oh, they never said. That's the crazy thing. They never said anybody's name. They didn't say the name of the superintendent. They didn't say anything.
Because we're talking about Wytears. I wonder if that was the key was...
Yeah.
You know, somebody told Becky she couldn't make the team, and it was like, well, everybody on the team then.
Everybody white. Everybody involved is white because it would have been somebody brown. Their name would have came out, and you're the reason why the cheer squad suck now. Everybody involved is white.
True. It would have been right.
Video of it. I'm looking at the video, and everybody in this picture is white.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds about white.
Sound like some white people shit.
Right. Okay, so at the same time, though, I read this and it was just like, okay, everybody on the team, fuck it, everybody on the team. Because for me, what I'm thinking is, okay, so everybody, I'm assuming that people are trying out to be in school to be the cheerleader for next year. You know, like they're because this is the end of the school year, so nobody's worried, shit is over with. And so, one, everybody's not going to be able, I would think that there's probably going to be some people who tried out who aren't going to be able to be on the team. Once it's time to pay money to do stuff, once they, for real, there's people who try out who really can't do it. There's people who try out and quit, once they really got to work for it and everything. And also it's like, well, I don't know. How do we know that everybody on the team, I guess, how how many people are going to be on this squad? Like, is it 20 people tried out and it was only 10 spots, but now it's 20 people on, now it's going to be 20 people on the squad. Well, everybody's not going to be able to be on the sidelines cheering every single down or every single play or all this different kind of stuff. I see girls, they'll be, you know, some girls will be up cheering and and other girls will be sitting, and then some girls come out, and, you know, it's just, it didn't seem like a big deal to me. It was just like, okay, everybody on the team, unless it's like 50 girls, you know, or 50 people trying to try out. It was just like, I would think that they probably said, like, well, fuck it, everybody could be on the team because it ain't that many motherfuckers trying out anyway.
In my mind, it looks like the final battle in Infinity War, where there was like, Bassa! They all just come out, like the whole, like every lady, there's nobody in the stands, and every lady comes out, and there's like, that would be dope too, though. I don't really mind. I don't.
And I don't know, I guess for me, and I don't know, the way I view it, I guess it's kind of different, because my thing is, this teaches you in life, you ain't going to make everything. Like, sometimes not making squads is a life lesson. I tried out for a cheerleading squad, I didn't make it. I tried out to play basketball, and I didn't make it. Sometimes not making it builds character, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. And I think that, and sometimes you ain't good enough for everything. And white people don't like to be told. Sometimes you're just fucking mediocre at what the hell you're doing. And your mediocreness is just not enough. And I think that maybe it's coming from a place that we are not always included. So sometimes, yes, you are going to be left out. No, you are not always going to make it. And my thing is that it's not, and maybe it's just me going, it's not fair to the girls that actually made the team, that now you have to, and there's nothing wrong with expanding the group and making the group bigger. I think that for the fact that you didn't make it and you complained and that's how you got on, it's the problem that I have. I guess that's the problem I have. Yeah. You didn't make it and then you complain. Like, that's the problem I have with that situation, because you're rewarding the mother for complaining. Now, if the child would have complained, that's completely different. But you allow the mom to, quote unquote, bully her way to get her child onto the squad, and if people find out that your child got on the squad because your mama complained, that's going to cause confrontation between you and the other girls. Because I know I would be mad.
Yeah, I can kind of see it both ways. Like, I can see like the whole idea of people have made too big a deal out of this, and both like, who cares? Almost like, let everybody on the team, let everybody that wants to participate. I think that's actually kind of a neat idea.
Correct.
You know, it's kind of how, like, I don't have a problem with participation trophies, but a lot of people will rant and rave about it. I'm like, I think we take shit like that way too seriously for kids. But yeah, I do understand that complaining and getting your way may be seen as a bad thing, but I see that as also a lesson in life that people should learn. Like, sometimes you can complain and get your way. If you have a point, you convince the right people. I mean, that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, sometimes that's what activism looks like and protest looks like. So if they felt it was unfair, now keep in mind, we don't know the full story, but if she felt that it was somehow unfair that she didn't make the team and she could convince the school board or whoever that she had a point, then maybe that's the ultimate result. And maybe it was as simple as, y'all have to let this one girl on the team, and then they went, well, fuck it, everybody can be on the team. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and I could see, I feel like this, I wish that when it comes to children athletics, I do understand the fact that this is a competition. And a lot of times when adults get involved, they make it more competitive than it should be. Mm-hmm. I think that a lot of times for most of the sports, most children, it should be open. Like she was saying, it should be open where if you go for it and you get on the team, you put in the application, you made it. Okay, I don't have a problem with that at all. But I think where I'm coming from is a point of anger, because I assume everybody's white in this situation, which may or may not be true, but on the assumption that everybody's white.
But so let's say it was a black girl and she was left off the team specifically because she was black, and you couldn't prove it, but she was like, that was racist. I only didn't make the team because of these motherfuckers being racist. And so her mom complained, and so they was like, well, we'll just let everybody on the team then. Like, would you still feel the same way?
I was getting to that point. My thing is that I guess I'm coming from the point of black people been complaining about shit for years. And it's very frustrating. It's almost like, well, this is your just due. Your white child didn't make it, oh well. But I shouldn't be like that. The problem is me, y'all. I'm just gonna tell you right now. The problem is me.
No,
from my perspective, because it's like, yeah, everybody should make the team. If you try it out and you put your application, yes, you should make the team. And no, I would. And the thing is, I would think that was right. But it's like, well, what are her justifications for complaining? Nobody ever came out and told us why the parent complained. Like, if the parent had a legitimate reason for complaining, okay. But if you're just complaining because Becky was average and didn't make it, okay, I have a problem with that.
And as a basketball coach, I've had parents come up to me because with my rec league teams, yeah, we might have 10 kids on a team. We might have, 11 kids on a team because they sign up, they pay, and since they sign up and they pay, they play. But when you try out for a basketball team, when you try out for my middle school teams or high school or wherever it may be, you can't, there's literally, you see, and I know y'all have seen those teams that have like 17 or 18 kids on a basketball team. It doesn't work. It's not fair to them because it's not fair to them who made the team because they're not getting as much playing time. It's not fair to the ones who shouldn't have made the team but made the team because now you're not getting playing time and you're not really getting practice time because there can only be 10 people on the court, even in practice. So 70 y'all hitting the bench. I had a parent complain to me because I had 10 people on my team. And they were like, you can't see it in your heart to have 12. So then my son could have made the team, and I was like, no, because that's not fair to the kids who made the team who need this practice time in order to learn our plays. They need time on the court so then they can improve and prepare for high school. I was like, your kid came really close to making the team. And if your kid goes back and practices the things that I told them to work on, next season I'll remember what they weren't able to do last season. And I will see them this season. I'll be like, oh, they improved that. They worked on that. Okay, they're a hard worker. I want them on the team. There's kids who made the team this season who may not make the team next season because I see that they're not hard workers once they make it past tryouts. But this parent was like, well, I'm going to write into the school board. So somebody out in my area actually tried this and got laughed at because the school board didn't give a fuck about this basketball program. It's middle school. They were like, so what? The coach did what they did. What are you going to do about it? There were 2 parents who did that. So this whole thing about everybody gets a chance, it doesn't always work. And I think that I see this one from Shantae's perspective of having people like you have the in the school that my kids went to, they're called the Pacerettes, who sit up in the audience and dance. Like the band will play and they'll get up and they'll dance and then they'll sit back down. It's like the ladies from Bring It. And then you got the cheerleaders who are out on the field and every week maybe they can alternate or something like that. But there's no way that in a lot of situations you're going to be able to have your kid on the team where you're going to end up being happy because you're going to end up being upset that your kid's not getting playing time once they make the team. You're going to end up being upset that nobody's passing your kid the ball because they're mad that your kid made the team because their parent complained. You're going to end up upset because your kid barely gets any time in practice because there's now 12 kids on the team. We got to alternate shift stuff. So I think that the parents need to really take a step back and let the kids govern how they feel about this situation. Some kids, like Karen, when you didn't make the teams, what'd you do? Did you go back and work harder on what didn't work and then try again? Or were you just like, I'll go to something else?
Every child's different, but I was like, I'll go to something else. But that's just how I function. I wouldn't try to be better, be sharper, and make the team next year. And some children actually do that. It varies per child. I do believe that if the systems were like Shantae said, the systems would actually be more student athletes, like true student athletes. Mm-hmm. Like you would have your good players with your terrible players. We would all be out there just having fun, just having a good time. You know, you wouldn't have all these parents being overreactive, spending all this money at AU and all this other stuff, you know, trying to get their children to the next level when the average child would never make it to the NBA or NBL or wherever else they're trying to make. The average child will go into the working force just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would actually simplify the system and actually make it a better system. The downside, quote unquote, I wouldn't care, but the downside to that is that you wouldn't have people excited about particularly high school basketball because nobody would care because most teams would fucking suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, they also, I was reading the article and the school board harped on the fact that they were doing this to make the squad more inclusive, which makes me think that they may have been using the 10-person limit as a way to exclude people based on something like race or body size or something like that. I mean, I mean, as a general rule, I kind of think the institution of cheerleading is kind of archaic because of how much we emphasize on certain types of people can be cheerleaders, what is these unreasonable beauty standards we put on people, and not to mention just the kind of like fact that we are trotting women, little girls that grow up to be women, out there to basically be eye candy for a sport. Like it's like it's not really anything about that is necessary to what's going on. And when we see the disrespect and the rife with abuse that these cheerleaders get in the NFL and stuff, like the whole institution feels shady. And I guess that's where I'm coming from. A lot of my trepidation is like, it's not like basketball to me. And if they don't respect it like basketball or like football, which is why they said anyone can be on the team, because that wasn't what they had to do. They could have said this girl can be on the team, but they were like, well, everybody can be on the team then. And that feels like a reactionary, like, we'll show you response. And the school board has to vote on it now. So it's not even finalized. There has to be a ruling made later. So it just kind of feels like it's like the whole thing feels icky to me. And it reeks of disrespect to the whole cheerleading as a competitive thing anyway. Like, it doesn't sound like there's anyone involved other than the person who said they originally started the team was looking at it as a competitive situation. Because that's, I mean, honestly, those are the adults making a decision. That's a ridiculous decision. Like, okay, well, if y'all want her to be on the team, then anybody can make it. Like, I don't know. I want more details to come out because my racism sense is tingling. And I'm thinking that this shit was just like a black girl didn't make the team and she deserved it. And then it was, well, fuck it then. Y'all can all be on the team if we got to let her on. And that's how it feels. And I wouldn't be surprised if that white woman or the cheerleader coach was on some like, my hard work. But her hard work was just, I don't want no niggas on my team. So like something about that keyword of a more inclusive program sounds like it wasn't just this one girl. It was something. It might have been body thing. It could have been a lot, but it
could have been trans.
It could have It could have been a lot. It's just something about this don't sound. I don't feel like it's as easy as a merit-based argument, which is, you know, obviously I think most of us would agree merit matters and kids should learn that at a young age and stuff. So I'm not down in the principles that y'all are putting out there because I agree, like, everyone can't be on the basketball team. Hard work does matter. Being good matters. Like, I get that, but something about this feels kind of like shady.
Well, what they're saying is they finally put out a response and said that Hanover Park has had 3 cheerleading squads, black, white, and gold, representing the school colors. Interested participants are required to audition, and when I hear that, I immediately think about was it Bring It? Bring It On? Bring It On. Where they're trying out in front of cheerleaders, like the cheerleaders are picking who gets to be on the cheerleading team. And so the head cheerleader sitting there like, no, you're too fat. No, you look too goth. No, you look too this, you look too that. And even though that may have been a comedy, it's still based in some reality.
Right.
So the idea that you're required to audition, first of all, that's humiliating in itself. to have to stand in front of your peers who might be like, there's no way you're going to make this team, because they may be black, they may be trans, they may be special needs. And they're probably being told this while they're dancing. People are probably whispering and muttering about them. But the school continued on by saying, a selection is made on certain criteria. Every individual who seeks to participate in cheerleading is placed on one of the 3 squads. Furthermore, every participant, regardless of squad, has always received a varsity letter. The high school principal received multiple appeals concerning the process that was implemented in selecting students for the various squads. As a result of our investigation, it was discovered that a modification was made for qualification to the black squad, which is the highest squad. This modification increased the number of students who would qualify for black squad based on a scoring decision. Based on the core values contained in the guidelines for cheerleading, the principal determined that for the 2018-2019 school year, the 3 squads would be condensed to 2 squads, an upperclassmen squad and an underclassmen squad. This change will be considered as a precursor to future changes, moving the school toward a standard varsity, junior varsity format for the 2019-2020 school year. So they took it from 3 teams down to 2 teams. And somebody who would have made the team no matter what, because everybody made the team on these 3 on the old way that they did it, was probably said, based on your scoring, you didn't make it. Now, I'm not saying that it was a black person. I'm just saying that all of a sudden somebody who would have made the team got told, well, we're scoring it differently this year, so you're not good enough. Goodbye. With that being said, yeah, I would have complained too.
Yeah.
Because if for years, if I came there as a freshman, I'm now a junior or I'm a senior, this is my last season coming up, and you're suddenly telling me, nah, you're not good enough. We had you on here before because everybody made it, but now you're not good enough.
Yeah,
really,
they didn't mention that they actually were taking something away from people.
The way that it sounds is like they worded the initial story badly. They made it sound like they made it, okay, we're making it where everybody makes a team. No, they made it back to what it already was. Because somebody wasn't treated right when y'all suddenly made it inclusive.
Right.
Okay. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's not, that makes way more sense. Cause I was like, how is this even, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, if it's traditional that like 10 people make the squad, like, why would this year be the one year somebody just starts complaining and the school board changes everything? Nah, it was already that way where everyone could make it. Then they tried to switch it to nah, and somebody was like, but hold up, like, I liked it the old way. I want to be out here cheering too. So I don't know.
This is my senior year. Like, why can't I? So I understand. I see that.
Yeah, it's like if they took basketball and were like, this year, we used to make it where everybody could play basketball or whatever, and this year nobody can play. Like 10 people only get to play. Yeah, I get that it's like that other places, but here it wasn't like that. So I had a reasonable expectation to be able to play, and now y'all took it away from me. So I might complain. Yeah.
I mean, because I complain when people who lose the last game get picked for the next game. Wait, nigga.
Come on.
I was here. I've been sitting here this whole time. How you gonna pick? Well, nah, he had called next game. No, he just got done playing. How am I sitting here and I didn't get picked? I will tear the whole gym down. So I understand.
I will call the police on these black people who stole my spot.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious though, because what it almost like I understand the idea of like, oh, kids have to learn, you know, to not deal with stuff and everything. But then at the same time, I feel like if just because you make the squad doesn't mean you're going to be out on the court or whatever.
Right.
You know, you might be on the bench. You might not. Like there's people who make the team and still don't get to play like they want to. So the idea that everybody being on the team is going to keep them from learning something, I don't know if that's necessarily always true. Like if you can let everybody, let's just like, well, shit, now you got to be good enough to get out there. Like all of y'all are here, all of y'all got a jersey on, but all of y'all ain't gonna get to play. You know, yes, you got the varsity jacket. Yeah, you all in the picture, but you know what your stats look like.
Y'all in the picture.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Plus, you can learn lessons from just being on the team. And it sounded like they had a 3-tier system with one being good,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the best, one being mediocre, and the other being everybody else. Like it was like they made it sound like she shook the whole system up. Like,
Right.
I guarantee you, them other kids was getting to do like JV games and the weekend soccer game that no one's coming to. Like, they made it sound like, how dare you stop our competitive cheerleading excellence? Like, man, just let them girls cheer.
And honestly, when you put it like that, oh my God! And when you put it like that, there are so many sports who don't have cheerleaders. Who, if you have these 3 levels. Now wrestling has a cheerleading squad. Soccer has a cheerleading team. And so now all these other sports are like, why aren't we good enough to get a cheerleading team? You want a cheerleading team? White, go.
Right. Cross country, y'all want some cheerleaders? Let's go. Rowing team, let's go.
Golf, come on out here.
Right. Golf be the only one where you can't cheer.
They be cheering in silence.
Right. They be
They
doing
just be shaking pom-poms.
Yeah.
That's it. Real quiet. Just
doing sign language.
This cheer is called Tree Leaves in the Wind.
Give me a shh.
We'll be right back. This is Single Simulcast.
You're listening to Single Simulcast with Rashani and my mom, Shantae Fabulous.
I'm Amber P. I'm also black, sexy, geeky, and mental. And you are listening to Single Simulcast. Rock on, cool kids.
Hey, this is Rod and Karen from the Black Guy Tips. And when Karen isn't beating me, I listen to the Single Simulcast.
This is Phoenix Kalita, and you are listening to Single Simulcast with Rashani and Shantae. And no, I will not be rapping today.
And this is Father Teresa, the greatest black atheist of Father Teresa's Wine Cellar, and you're listening to the Single Simulcast.
Hey, this is Bacon from AdSpace, and you are listening to Single Simulcast.
That was simply sensational. Single Simulcast shall surely surface speedily. Bitches.
Single Simulcast wants your reviews. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts, Google Music, or wherever you listen to us. Tag Single Simulcast with the screenshot of your review on Facebook, or use the hashtag SSCast on Twitter. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Hi, this is your man Jeremy from the Crown and Collars podcast, and you are listening to Single Simulcast with my man Rashani and Shantae Fabulous, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcaster. And I'm your favorite podcaster, so that should be your favorite podcaster, because I'm your fave, and your fave's fave. Check them out on Single Simulcast, and check out Crown and Collars, found wherever you can find great podcasts and the CSPN network.
Who Raised You podcast is a kitchen table conversation between Karen, Jalian Yang, and
Treasure Shields Redmond.
as we explore how culture, family, and intersecting identities pave our way toward liberation. We want to know, who raised you? We're curious and sometimes a bit irritated. Sit down, we have lots to talk about.
We got tons of lawsuits, but did you see the loop-de-loop? Action Park, come get a beer. You might get hurt if you're a pussy.
If you're a pussy.
But come on, man, we gotta loop-de-loop.
Don't be a pussy.
There's a freaking loop-de-loop. And yeah, you might get a leg or two broken. But really, guys, what
come on out.
We got a loop-de-loop. Why are you acting so scared?
Oh my god.
There's a loop-de-loop. A freaking loop-de-loop. By the way, shall I say it again? A loop-de-loop.
I need this 6-hour commercial to end.
And if you die, we got insurance.
No, they don't.
We're insuring you. We got a loop-de-loop right there, children.
The only insurance they have is
loop-de-loop.
The only insurance they have is that you will have fun.
In a freaking water park. They got a cliffhanger. We got a loop-de-loop. In fact, our name It's freaking loop-de-loop. We're not Action Park anymore. We're officially loop-de-loop.
Officially loop-de-loop.
Do you see it, children? The freaking loop-de-loop.
Okay. I don't know if I can hear you sing loop-de-loop one more time. I feel like the core message was loop-de-loop.
That is their whole message. Dog, we have a loop-de-loop.
I don't know how that's a thing that makes money.
Hello, this is Stephanie from the Mocha Minutes podcast, and you are listening to the Single Simulcast with Rayshani and Shantae Fabulous, your favorite podcaster's favorite podcast. That sounds about right. So, wherever you can find good podcasts, that is where you'll find the Single Simulcast. So please check them out. And while you're there, please check out the Mocha Minutes podcast. All right. See you guys later.
My name is Jordan Redfield Wade.
Well. If it isn't the so-called people's champion.
By day, I'm a philanthropist and private investigator.
You risked your own life to try and protect someone who needed it. If that's what's needed to be a hero, then I want to help.
But by night, I protect the people of Newark City in a different way.
My name, champ, is Redwing.
Do I need to count the sheer number of felonies you committed today?
As she lay dying, I promised my mother that I would fight for those who couldn't fight for themselves. And I refused to let her down.
I would do anything to keep you safe, you know that, anything.
Even murder?
If that's what it took, then yes.
I am the defender of Newark City.
Justice is not something you can manufacture.
I am Redwing.
Are you interested in supporting this Black podcast? Awesome! Become a Patreon member at www.patreon.com/singlesimulcast. And for $5, you'll be able to chat with the hosts during our monthly Q&A Awesome session. You can also support the show via our Teespring store at teespring.com/stores/single-simulcast and get a shirt or a mug. You also have the option to put a little something in our cup at paypal.me/singlesimulcast.
Single Simulcast episode 294. Shantae's in the building. Wow. See, it's still hard to do. Rod and Karen from the Black Guy Who Tips are in the building, and I'm here. I was having a conversation, same person who was involved in the whole liberals conversation jumped in for a second, but by and large, it was a larger conversation about the phrase, because I said so. And I am a father. I am a basketball coach. I see kids. I have nieces and nephews. They're out there on the block. And as I've gotten older, I've come to realize that the phrase, because I said so, isn't really an answer. It's an answer. It's an answer. But that shit is bullying as fuck.
Agreed.
And what I tried to point out to these folks is that the phrase, because I said so, is literally a shutdown of a conversation. There's no further questioning. While we're talking about how we want people to question and we want our kids to grow up in a questioning environment and not be afraid to speak their mind, we're the first ones shutting them down with because I said so. Because nobody ever says because I said so in a sweet way. I've never heard it be said. If it can be said, my mama owed me an explanation. Because I said so was always said in one way. Because I said so. That's why.
Shut the fuck up.
Right?
Like this.
And the common follow-up to because I said so was unspoken. But if you ask another question after because I said so, there was going to be consequences and repercussions that may have involved a belt or grounding. Like there was no other in between. There was no more but why. I had a friend who popped up and said, well, and this was so startling to me. I had a friend who popped up in the comments and said, well, I grew up being under the because I said so way of life. and I turned out all right. And I had friends who grew up with the because I said so way of life, and they turned out all right. So I don't see what the big deal is. And I was like, you sound just like people sound when they talk about whipping kids.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, like I don't understand people's anecdotes thinking like that's like, major data for the impact of certain things that happen in our lives and everything. Like, yes, you turned out okay, and that's cool. That doesn't mean that the situation that we're talking about doesn't affect other people in a negative way.
And my biggest question is, did you turn out all right? You're assuming that you turned out all right. But the truth be told, you might not be all right. And sometimes people, particularly adults, particularly in the Black community, we don't want to go back and look at maybe the way my parents did things were wrong. Maybe the way I grew up was wrong. Maybe the way the religion that was taught to me was wrong. Or maybe there were things I disagreed with. Because the thing about it is that if you start questioning those types of things, all of a sudden the foundation and a lot of times the things that you've learned in life, you realize that a lot of those things actually might be wrong for you. Mm-hmm. But you don't want to question that, because if you start questioning it, that means it's going to have to be change that takes place. And the average person don't want to look internally to say that I have to change my behavior or the way my mama did certain things was wrong. Because I know me as an adult, that's something that I personally had to deal with. And I didn't start questioning those things until I went out to school and started doing things on my own and started meeting people from different backgrounds. Because as a child, you're kind of sheltered by family. And most of your family has the same philosophy. You might have exceptions to that, but most of them kind of believe in the same thing. Mm-hmm. You get outside of that, you start experiencing different things. And I know for me, as an adult, because I say so, that's not sufficient. Children are smart and children are intelligent. And one thing about because I said so is because you don't want to explain. Mm-hmm. That's why most people use that. You don't want to explain. You don't want to take the time. You don't want to evaluate. A lot of times parents do that because sometimes you don't want to admit that you're wrong too. And that's also something else that people have to come to the conclusion with. That sometimes your parents did things and they were wrong. Mm-hmm. And they never came back and apologized and never came back and said that what they did was wrong and it affected you in some way, shape, form, or fashion. And I think that a lot of times people don't want to admit that the way you was taught might not be right and you might not be all right. Mm-hmm.
It's just, to me, well, first of all, you're absolutely right. There's no shame in telling your kids you were wrong, that you made a mistake, that you don't know, that you're unsure. But it's almost steeped in toxic masculinity that has spilled over and has sprinkled on women as well. We don't want to admit that we're wrong. We want to just keep pushing forward while people who are behind us have to deal with that aftermath. And so it's like, well, when you did this last week, this happened. Why are you doing this? I don't need to explain myself to you. And the two things that always went hand in hand to me was because I said so, and do as I say, not as I do. Do as I say, not as I do is literally you saying, I do horrible shit. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to tell you not to do the horrible shit while I do the horrible shit. I'm not going to give you a reason why I keep doing it. I just don't want you to do it. Do as I say, not as I do. And those are the questions that if we don't allow people to question those statements, those do as I say, not as I do, because I said so statements, those are the ones that need to be questioned more than anything else. As soon as you say because I said so, I already know you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Go for it.
I was gonna say it's kind of interesting because like on both counts, I can understand that I don't have kids, right? Mm-hmm. So I can understand the shorthand that and the frustration that parents must experience, right. And not every moment is gonna be your proudest moment, and not everything you say is gonna be something that you live up to your highest ideals. So I can kind of understand how like these things might get used from time to time, and you not want, what I'm saying? Like you didn't set out to be like that parent. You know what I mean? Like, you're tired, just because I said so. But I can see how if a kid hits you with 17 whys in a row, one day you might not have the patience.
Yeah.
You know, like you hope you do, but one day you might just be like, you know what, dog, August 13th, I ain't got it today. Just clean your room because I said so. I'm not gonna get, you know, the answer to this, you know. And then the other thing is, even with do as I say, not as I do, like there's certain things that like adults can do, and you tell a kid like, you know, I can drink this beer because I'm X amount of age and you're not old enough to do it, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, you know, well, if it's so bad to be drinking, why do you drink? Like, I can see a parent being like, there's a certain line, at least with my parents, that was like, all right, nigga, I pay these bills. I take care of you. I'm a good person. I'm a good parent. Like, you know, inquisitivity should be rewarded and honored and respected. But I know sometimes you just, like any two people in the world, you get on somebody's just last nerve, and I can see a parent like having a moment and falling short. I just don't believe in it as like a go-to or like I don't think it's a positive thing. I think sometimes, especially as Black people, we will really praise something that's not necessarily the best for children, and so I can understand that element where I'm like, that's what I mean. I can understand the duality of it. You might end up saying it, but not really being proud of it. That's not something you would like to practice all the time, but I can understand your patience being worn out, and I can understand the other side of it too, which is like, you would hope that you never have a moment where you say that shit, but you know, that's probably how all y'all parents do. Eventually, y'all had that moment where you're like, I turned it to my parents just now.
And you...
Well, yeah, but also, though, I think the key to that, because I think you are, as a parent, you're going to fall short. You're going to miss the mark, regardless of whatever whatever your goals are and everything. But if you're able to apologize and, like, really learn from that shit, that's where... I mean, because I think there's people who say, because I said so, and feel some kind of way about it, maybe, but they won't apologize for it. They won't come back to the kid and say, I really, like, look, I was, I know I said what I said in the heat of the moment, and I was really upset, and I shouldn't have taken that out on you. It had nothing to do, like, yes, what you were doing was frustrating me, but what I was really upset about really didn't have anything to do with you. It was just that what was going on earlier carried over to this, and now I'm taking it out on you, and that wasn't okay, and I'm sorry. It's that kind of stuff, because I think that's where the problem is, as far as some of the things that we do, as far as parenting is concerned. We fuck up, but we won't apologize. We won't acknowledge to ourselves and acknowledge to the person that we hurt that, oh man, I really fucked up. Because if you can acknowledge that you fucked up, you can change. You can make a different move. The next time somebody's worked on your nerves at your job or whoever, whether it's your partner or something, you can change it instead of just consistently taking shit out on your kid. And then the kid, is on Twitter, 15 years later saying my parent never apologized to me, or my parent apologized to me when finally said I'm sorry to me when I was 23 years old after, however long of them being, out the way with them, that kind of stuff.
I fuck up. I fuck up all the time. I fucked up on the show with my kids before, like, and it comes with growth. It comes with maturity, like everything. You make the mistake, you strive to not do it again. And if you do it again, you strive to grow from it, because you're absolutely right, Rod. There are circumstances where kids are trolls, and they're getting better at it every day because of YouTube. They won't even know that they're asking you questions that are just like grasping on you, but it's just like the questions that get on me the most weren't questions where they ended up being because I said so. I would end up asking if they wanted to play the quiet game, because they'd be like, why this? Because this. Why this? Because this. Why this? Because this. Why? And you get 7 whys in, and I would back then I wasn't able, in my mind, I wasn't able to say, you know what, I don't know. And I think that that's a connecting issue, is that we as parents, or we as people, we as adults, have to be able to say, I don't know. let's look it up. Let's both learn together. I think that's an admirable thing to be able to do, is say, you know what, I really don't know, but I'm willing to learn with you. Let's look this up real quick. Kid Awesome asked me a couple days ago, what time is it in London, England right now? And I was like, you know what? I was rifling through my mind. I was like, you know what? New York is 3 hours ahead of us. So London, probably like 4, maybe 5 hours ahead of us. Okay, cool. It's 10:07. And I was like, you know what? That probably ain't even right. Dude, just ask Siri.
Just Google it.
Just ask Siri. And he asked Siri. Them niggas is like 12 hours. Well, hold on. I think they're like 8 hours ahead of us or 7 hours ahead of us. I would have fucked that kid's whole day up. He would have gone and had it on the test the next day. Like, what time is it in England? My dad said 4 hours. We can't be scared to say we don't know. We can't be scared to apologize. And it's the whole mindset of, well, my parents never apologized to me, and I grew up all right. I think that's the biggest issue I have with this. Is the fact that these people think they grew up all right, and so they're going to sprinkle this same thing on their kids. But my parents told me that black folks weren't worth shit, and I grew up all right. My parents.
I think it's the general attitude of the whole conversation that, that I think we all find common ground on, because, like, I just think as black children, like, it's so many no's, you know, and a lot of those first no's come from your parents, and that shit affects how you view your own worth in your life after that. And it can't help but to affect it. So, I would like more kids to be raised in a world where, they can say yes to themselves and say yes to, say yes to just kind of branching out and believing in themselves, and then kids will be able to do more. And I think it starts with, teaching your kid you're worth an answer. Like, you're worth more than just someone telling you to do it because I said so. Your rights should be respected. You deserve to know why when I can tell you why. You deserve the transparency of me as your parent telling you the truth when I can. So I definitely agree with y'all there.
I think that it's admirable. Even as an adult, I think it's admirable when somebody's able to say, you know what, I don't know. I don't have the answer.
Right.
I respect that. Like, that takes a lot for you to, and when you do it in a circle of adults, it's hard. But when you do it in a circle of kids, that's woo. Woo! Well, you got a bunch of, like, third graders looking up at you like you should know everything and you want to be that superhero. And they're like, oh, God, you know what? I was just talking with one of my friends yesterday. She's a teacher. And they were talking about police brutality. And she is a person of color, but non-black person of color. And they were like, yo, why do they keep assaulting black folks? Why'd they kill Stefan?
And she said, because I said so.
And the next week she was on the billboard. And she said, I don't know. And she's actually now trying to build a curriculum to talk with these kids. She has to reach these kids. Old school movie, sorry. No, that was American Dad.
Yep, that was Roger when he was a teacher. I have to reach these kids.
But she, it starts with being the wise person knows that they don't know everything. Erica taught us that before she went full hotep. And I just want to see more people who are willing to say, you know what, I don't know, but let's learn together, rather than saying because I said so, or it is what it is, or do as I do, not as I say. I feel like those, while can be used in case of emergency,
right?
People, like, it can be used, but you're not just going to use it every time. What's for dinner? Because I said so.
Yeah. Like, that's the thing. I feel like the internet changed a lot of stuff for people because I didn't know all black parents were the same until the internet. I just, I knew my parents, but then you start talking to other black people about their experiences, and you're like, wait, so your parents called it Nintendo as well? Like,
right? And they didn't give a fuck about what it was really called.
Like, that's before the internet. How's that possible that all our parents called it Nintendo before the internet was invented?
And if they didn't call it Nintendo, how'd they all call it Mario?
Right? Yeah, I don't understand. So but some of the stuff is also like, we're able to learn and we're able to see better ways and we're able to educate each other. And in some cases, it can be bad too, because there's like a hyper level of perfection that we expect from each other. Because, on the internet, you can be kind of fake perfect. You know what I'm like? You can be like, I'm only going to show the good moments. I'm only going to show the fun things. But, I think parents make mistakes the same way kids make mistakes. So, hopefully you're doing better on most days than bad, right? And you don't mess up too bad. But, I try to keep some empathy and understanding for the idea that, hey, man, I can see a situation where you didn't have it today and you told your kid some shit that you need to go back and correct, I can get that. But the general attitude and the general way we treat, especially black kids, that has to change, because that can't be a mantra. Because I told you that's not enough anymore. Like, kids, like, I want our kids to grow up and feel like they can change the world, and it doesn't start with you telling your kid that they can't do shit unless you tell them.
Because that's when they end up in that meeting with a white woman in tears, saying, "Because I said so." Why are you pushing this?
Brought it full circle.
Yeah. It's like the Marvel movies. We try and just, So, now for a little bit of humor. Niggas want, well, not niggas. This is, I'm quite certain. I am confident. This is the jaw-dropping moment. A French family narrowly escapes being attacked by cheetahs in a Dutch safari park. Video footage filmed by a witness shows the tourists being chased by the cheetahs after getting out their cars to take photos.
Ain't that the number one thing they tell you when you're on the safari with them, put your hand up the vehicle?
That is what they say.
Yes.
Beach Land is a drive-through African safari wildlife park in the south of the Netherlands where visitors are under strict instruction not to leave their cars. That's all they say. However, a family of 5 appears to have missed this instruction. How do you miss that instruction? And is seen getting out in the middle of the park where some cheetahs are sunning themselves. They did it twice.
And then and what's messed up is that people did tell me that I shouldn't like the Jurassic Park movies. But this is the plot.
Right? Right. I was watching a movie, and I was like, I can do that. I can change everything. I just need to know the code. And then the girl was like, I just wanted a selfie. They were so cute, and they were just laying there, and I thought they were kittens. So I hopped out. And then the dad was like, I just need to stretch my legs. We've been in this car for 4 fucking hours. I didn't want to be here in the first place. Don't you know LeBron is out there killing the Pacers right now? And it all fell apart. Unsurprisingly, the cheetahs, who, after they got out the second time, well, the first time they got out the car to take snaps of the predators. They then drive a little further down the road and get out again, stepping onto a small hill just a few dozen feet away from where the cheetahs are resting.
Ooh.
Yeah, they were like, what the video, man, they looked hella far from a car. You know what I mean? Like, as far, like, they were far. And those boy, 2 of them, I don't know how 2 of them made it. Because some people made it back to the car, but it was 2 that looked, boy, I don't know how they made it. I don't know.
The funny thing is, I just picture in my head that as they got out for the second time, the leader, the guide, the spokesman, whomever, is telling them, get the fuck back in the car. And they're like, we don't understand you. I don't speak your language. We'll be right back. We will be right back. We've done this before. Chill. We will be right back. And they were like, get the fuck in the car. Get in the car. They're not listening to me. They're gone.
So you probably wasn't even anybody there. It was just them. Because I bet there's not like a guide or something with them. It's like everybody gets in their car and they get told the rules. Hey, you're going to drive through this. Stay on the path. Go through your car. Don't speed. And, stay in this type of thing. And then they go and everything. And I bet there was nobody around to say anything. Like nobody of authority to say anything. Because I would think that if you too loud or you yell too much or you draw attention to yourself, you're just gonna make it worse.
Says the tourists spot the cheetahs at the last minute and make a panic dash for the car. They all ran for their lives except for one of the women who was seen picking up the youngest child and shooing the cheetahs away as she strides to the car. Go away, cheetah.
Stupid.
Go away. Go away.
Stupid. But no. But that's why I'm one of those people that's not really interested in these types of situations. Like, oh man, it would be great to go on a safari and this. No, I don't want to. Because that's a wild animal. I'm in a car or I'm in an open Jeep, and you know what? If they want to do something, there's really nothing that anybody can do to stop them from doing it. I can't believe she took her child. I can't believe someone took a child out. Because if they did do something, like if the cheetahs did do something, but like you take the child out, I would think that you're thinking about the possibility of danger. It's just like you're putting yourself and the child even at more risk, because the kid ain't gonna know when to run. It's a kid. So now you got to scoop up the baby and get back to the car. Like, you're not thinking. You're not even. No, you're not putting all the numbers together to make the right decision.
And at least before you get out the car, you should say, "Listen, do as I say and not as I do. Stay in the car."
Why? Because I said so.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way. Like, you could have went to the zoo and looked at the cheetahs. You could, like, for real, and be safe and look at the cheetahs.
But
like,
here's the question. Did they know when they left for this park? Were one of them like, you know what? I don't give a fuck what they say. I'm a pet a cheetah.
They're white, and I guarantee you these instructions was given to them, and they didn't give a fuck, but animals are going to be animals, and the cheetah going to cheetah, and you fucked around, and it's like all of a sudden they was chilling, and you opened up the front door and was like, bust through their house and their living room, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing here? So yes, I'm going to be like, where'd you come from? Who your people?
Don't be frightened, we're white people.
Like, there's no way. I don't understand. But it does seem like it's a white person kind of thing, because it feels like they do these things, like not necessarily just with animals, but also with animals. But I mean, like, they're, driving down the narrowest path of a mountain with a Go camera on, and they are going like full speed, the wrong move, they could die kind of stuff. And it's just like, it's just some white people shit. It's just
right, because that's the thing, when you don't have any predators and you don't have to worry about getting stopped and frisked, and police aren't shooting you in the street. After a while, you get bored, and when you get bored, you start doing the extreme shit. We don't have the luxury to do the extreme shit, because we just worried about waking up, walking outside the house.
You say that, but some people was planning on going to a midnight screening of Avengers for FanCon, so I heard that was pretty dangerous.
But that ain't the same thing.
I mean, you get shot out there, Karen. It's pretty much the same thing.
I know, but it ain't.
Yeah, at 3 a.m.
Extreme sports.
3 a.m. in Baltimore. It's pretty extreme.
Yeah, I don't go out in Baltimore. It's a rule. Not even daytime. I've read too many books.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not at the harbor, I'm not going to Baltimore. I'm scared. Said everybody except for them niggas who was like, you know what? I'm going to see the Avengers at 3 o'clock in the morning.
The Cheetahs was at the security mall too, Karen.
Okay. Well, then that explains things.
A man thought he had a clever plan. Intentionally mess up his apartment to test his girlfriend. If she cleaned up after him, he would know she was, in fact, good enough to marry. This nigga messed up his house on purpose. He invited his girlfriend to his house for the first time ever, and I was extremely disappointed, to be honest. She came by this morning and left without even washing dishes or doing some cleaning.
You're goddamn right. I don't live here.
So far be it for me to state the obvious, but like, does he realize he literally just said men are trash? Literally. This nigga literally made trash as a sign of his manhood to be like, and you come clean it up as a sign of your womanhood.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I think you just cracked the code.
No, what I didn't catch, what I wonder if this dude didn't realize is that he could have just as easily been failing her test. Like, it's just like, this nigga dirty. Like, this nigga is like real dirty. Like, he's taking stuff out and he's not putting it back, or he's not throwing stuff away. That's, it's just like, he dirty. I don't want to be with this nigga.
That failed everybody's test. Like, I don't want him in my house. Period.
Not only that, I'm not your mama. And I don't know why dudes get with women and expect them to clean up after them like they're your mama. I'm not your mama.
Mm-hmm.
My mama.
Because men are trash cans, that's why.
My mama was like, it's not my job. You better, you know what? If you want somebody to clean up after you, you'd better get a maid.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, better pay her well too, but she ain't gonna do it for free.
And that's exactly what she said. So what my mom did, and this is real done. I was 15, house was filthy. My brother was 17, house was filthy. My dad was just, I don't know how old he was. House was filthy. My mom was like, you know what? All of y'all, give me $45 a month. My allowance is only $45 a month. Exactly. I'm going to take y'all's allowances. You going to give me $45 and I'm going to get a maid because I ain't the one and it's not my job. And so back in 1996, we hired a maid to come to the house once a week and clean up behind us. And
come on.
Because my mom was like, I get off work and you want me to come into this house and clean. And I was like, no. And my dad was like, who? And my brother was like, no. And she was like, well, it's not my job, but I'll find somebody whose job it is and they can take care of it. So we had a maid.
Mm-hmm. That's reasonable.
Yeah, because she was like, fuck it. And now I think about it all the time now with my kids. I'm like, yo, why don't y'all clean up? You know what? I will get us a maid. Because
did this dude, did he say it was their first date or was
first time ever at his place?
Okay.
So instead of setting up the Netflix and chill, he set up the trash and ill.
Right.
He was auditioning her.
Right.
Netflix and clean.
Right.
Meanwhile, she probably came over there and was like, this nigga is filthy. I'm never coming back to this house.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this look like the kind of nigga who don't wear deodorant all the time and don't brush their teeth when they first wake up, but want you to think that they a catch.
People stay playing themselves, just scoring own goals on themselves, just right on social media. Like, nobody forced you to do that, era.
And that followed up by saying, next time y'all visiting your man's house, make damn sure y'all clean it up. They could be testing y'all to see if you qualify to be wiped one day. He's also said, a lot of ladies could be extremely happy if you would have just taken your men back after cheating. Cheating makes relationships stronger.
Wow.
Why do men, I mean, I know why, but it's so wild that men feel that they can just give this unasked for, unqualified opinions on what all women need to do. And it's always from niggas that have zero of their shit together.
Come on.
I don't know. I mean,
like, think about this. Your girl wasn't surprised your house was filthy. You see what I'm saying? Like, she didn't even come in and go, God damn, what happened to your house? Like, she came in and was like, that fits. Like, that, you need to get your own reputation together before. That's probably why she didn't clean. She said, you probably like it this way.
I was gonna come in and like hang out with you and all that, but then I saw all this shit and I was just like, I don't have to deal with this shit. And I left. That's what I would say. That's what anybody I know would say. Why the hell? Look, if I walk into somebody's house for the very first time and their house is filthy, first of all, I'm never coming back. Secondly, I'm talking bad about you until the end of time. And third, we can never, ever, ever get together. Like, what the fuck? Your house smell like you don't change your sheets. You done fucked your whole world up trying to test me, and this is the first time at the house. You're trying to see if I'm wifey material. This is the first time at your house. And then Twitter saw it and found her. I love Black Twitter. I love Twitter, period. Like, investigated and found his girlfriend and was like, yo, this is what your man thinks about you. And so that nigga got dumped. He said some idiot somehow showed my girlfriend this tweet and and she dumped me immediately. So guess what? I'm officially single. Congratulations.
Go! Right in your own fucking net, dude. You deserve to score that goal on yourself. Bye.
I don't understand the mindset of this should be done for me. I'm not going to do this. And he's acting like he messed up his house when he really didn't. I refuse to believe that he messed up his house on purpose. I think his house was just dirty and he was like, fuck it, she going to come by and clean for me. I don't understand that logic. I don't.
I don't know. It's because motherfuckers think women are beneath them.
Yep.
Right. That's what it is. I mean, people think women are beneath them. They think any work that they think women are supposed to do is beneath them. Right. So they'll clean a little bit, but they're cleaning because in their mind they have to. But once they get attached to a woman, now they don't have to do it anymore. Because that's her job and that's what she's supposed to do, regardless of whatever she has going on in her life or anything. And I don't have to help. And how dare she ask me? And all, it's all this stuff. And it can segue into, child rearing and all this different kind of stuff where it's just like women's work is beneath men. She's supposed to do it. That's part of her. That's part of the partnership, which it ain't really a partnership, but it's just like, this is what she's supposed to do.
I just want to say that officially, this woman's work goes like this. Pray God you can cope. I stand outside this woman's work. This woman's work. Ooh, it's hard on. Did you know that Maxwell wasn't the first person to sing that song?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that until I saw The Handmaid's Tale. And I was like, who the hell is this white woman? They take everything.
It's her song. I can't even, any other time I would be able to pull her name out, but it's not. It's what?
Kate Bush.
Kate Bush, yeah. Yeah, it's her song.
Now starts the craft. I didn't know. That was the biggest surprise for me since I found out that the woman who made Torn didn't really make Torn.
Mm.
I was shocked. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is the fact that net neutrality. Y'all, my internet has been tore up for a couple weeks, and it's only going to get worse because officially net neutrality expires on June 11th. Landmark net neutrality rules will expire on June 11th, and new regulations handing providers broad new power over how consumers can access the internet will take effect. The FCC said on Thursday in setting the date. The FCC in December repealed the Obama-era open internet rule set in 2015, which bars providers from blocking or slowing down access to content or charging consumers more for certain content. I know right now, Xfinity has already said that if you do not buy their cable package, they will shut off they will slow down your internet. If you want to have a gigabyte, if you want to have their fastest gig service, you got to pay for their high tier cable package. Sorry, Shantae, what were you saying?
Oh no, I didn't. I think that was Karen.
Oh, sorry, Karen, what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say this was up for voting in 2016. Things like this, and there's been stories coming out that some people were getting paid, particularly with the AT&T merger that just happened, and all of a sudden that merger happened, and all of a sudden net neutrality is quote unquote on the table. And a lot of people fail to realize how much this is going to affect them. You're going to start having tiers and stuff. Cable companies are going to start charging more. A lot of your independent people are not going to be able to afford to pay to have their stuff at these top tiers. And then you're going to have consumers that might not be able to afford the top tiers. You're going to have some people that you're really going to bar from the internet because they're not going to be able to afford it.
There's internet providers who are saying that they will eventually offer paid fast lanes, also known as paid prioritization, for some future internet traffic. It's about to go down, y'all. Like your service speed. That's what I'm talking about.
We're already light years behind most countries anyway. Like our internet, we pay too much for slow service anyway compared to other parts of the world, because our internet was actually built on phone lines versus a lot of other companies, a lot of other places in the world. They built their shit from scratch, so they already have like the fiber optic cables and all that stuff. So our shit is already slow, and they're just going to make it slower because they can.
I'm scared. I'm not scared. I'm just like, I've already started making it a way for myself. I no longer play multiplayer games online. That's really it. That's about all. That's what I'm blaming it on. That's why I don't play Fork Knife. Because it be lagging. It lags out. But that's about it. Karen, Rod, y'all got any shout outs?
Yo, I'd like to give a shout out to all my people on the East Side. You know how we do. East Side forever.
I'd like to give a shout out to all the Black Hollywood Tips fans who came to listen. We love y'all, love and support y'all. Y'all come over here and love and support on them like y'all love and support on us.
I felt like that East Side thing, like you need to have niggas barking in the background. Like I feel like that's a amateur type thing. It also makes me want to watch Sunset Park again, which nobody likes but me. One of the best, worst basketball movies ever, where a white woman literally shows up and doesn't know how to coach and doesn't want to be a coach and doesn't know the first thing about basketball and somehow becomes the coach that coaches this team that's always been horrible to the state or to the city championship. It doesn't get enough credit. Shantae, got any shout outs?
Shout out to Rod and Karen for being on the show with us today. And really appreciate y'all taking the time out to hang out with us. And shout out to people who continue to rock with us with the show, sharing the show and everything. And a special shout out to the people who spoiler alert. So turn off if you haven't watched the latest Steven Universe episode. Go ahead and turn it off right now. I'm giving you a chance. I'm giving you a chance. But shout out to the people who knew who Rose Quartz was. Shout out. Shout out to y'all who figured it out, who had a thought all that time way back when and had to deal with people saying, nah, that's not true. But shout out to y'all, because y'all knew. Shout out to y'all.
I did. That was a shot. I looked at that. Roger was in there with me because he don't really watch it. Roger was in with me. And I looked at that screen. I said, what?
Yeah, I wasn't ready. I was not ready.
I wasn't ready either. I haven't gotten to that episode yet. I'm just kidding.
We didn't even say that.
We didn't even spoil it.
I know. I took my. They're gonna be like, "What did I miss?" Nothing got spoiled, y'all. Come on back.
Nothing got spoiled, but it does have to do with rose quartz. So
Shantae just trolled the shit out of y'all. Served. I do want to say again, we are always open to communication. We don't want y'all to be out there in this world by yourself. Sometimes you just feel like I know that there's people who feel like in a room full of crowded people, you can still feel alone. There's no shame in that. There's no mocking in that, because I've had that same feeling, and I've been in crowded places and just gotten nervous, been scared, been afraid, and you don't know how to reach out. You don't want to reach out because you don't want to be judged and you don't want to be belittled. I can promise you that you're not alone. And we are here to talk without judgment and to listen without prejudice. Because right now, as always, the world is a dark, scary place sometimes. And sometimes you don't even know why it is. It just is. But let us walk with you. Send us instant message on Facebook or a DM on Twitter. Email us. Call to voicemail. We'll hit you back. And no matter what time of the day and night, never be afraid to reach out. We will be there to catch you. I know how some folks are right now standing in the sun wondering why the light doesn't hit them like it used to. And you're not alone. You're just not. So, the numbers are available. The Facebook page is available, Single Simulcast. The DMs, just DM Single Simulcast, or, Rashani or Shantae. And we'll listen. We're there for you. Rod, Karen, thank you so much for joining us. Karen, Rod, thank you so much for joining us. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having us, man. We really enjoyed it. Thank you so much.
No worries. We were going to talk Infinity War, but, sometimes there's more pressing conversation. I'm just going to say, like I told Rod right after I walked out of that movie theater, because when I saw it, he was the only person I knew had also seen it other than Karen, and I don't got your number. Called him and I said, I'm tired of crying.
Right?
Come on.
Damn Marvel movies. I am sick of it. But then Aaron Rand Freeman broke it down to me and was like, you know what? We keep calling them Marvel movies when really they're just really good movies that are made by Marvel.
Yeah.
And once
I didn't even cry in this one, man. My mouth was open. I was like, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I literally looked at Roger like, that's it? Like, I literally looked at him like, nothing else? Like, this is what we doing?
Like, I cried in Black Panther because I had never felt that way and felt so seen. And, especially with that view of not just African and Black people from America, like, having, like, a camaraderie, but also, like, Black men and women sharing screen time and then not feeling like we had to reduce the women or play on these weird stereotypes. Like, I just couldn't believe somebody made a movie that good that thought of all that stuff. So that one made me cry. But this joint, I was more like, this shit was like watching your favorite team losing. It was like me watching the Panthers losing the Super Bowl. That's exactly what it was like.
No, bruh. It was like knowing that they should have handed the ball off to Marshawn and just stood back and talking to everybody about here it comes.
Yeah. Like, the way they lost was literally like, why didn't we just hand it off? Like, they were that close to scoring. They were that close. Oh, my God. I kind of want to see it again. Oh, my God.
I'm on my way out. I am.
All right.
Hey.
Enjoy.
Y'all be good. This Single Simulcast episode 294. We are out. Peace.
This is Single Simulcast.
Don't know by now that you slip.